How's everyone doing today? Well, if you don't know me by now, my name is John, and I have a plant problem. Is there a PA for us gardeners out there? Plants Anonymous? Because I got some stuff to talk about again today. How about more trees, apple trees that is, to extend our food forest we have. We last night, Kristen got a notification on her phone saying that one of the local garden centers had all the rest of their stock half off. Now what do? You gotta run down there and pick up some plants, because why not? So what we did was went down and they had 5 apple trees left. They had these beauties right here. I'd say they're probably 45 years old. The guy didn't know, but assuming by their height and growth, that's what I think their age is. And they are Northern Spy, Apple Northern Spy semi-dwarf. And they were $144 regular price. But like I said, they were on sale for half price off, and I still didn't want to pay half price because I was going to take one, but half price wasn't good enough for one tree. And you can't take one tree home because the other one's lonely, right? So you got to pick up another tree. So I asked the guy, "Would you do 2 for $100?" And he went and asked his I guess the boss of the place, and they're like, "Well, we can do it for $125 for 2." It's like, well, I really don't want to pay that much. I'm like, what about $115? So they agreed on $115 for 2 trees, which is pretty crazy because what does that work out to be, like 50 or $60 a tree? $60 a tree, somewhere around there. And our 2-year-old trees, we paid about $54 each for those. So this was a good deal. I couldn't turn it down. So lo and behold, here we have 2 new apple trees. Now the problem is trying to find space, because the food forest over there is all full of trees. Over down that way is over full of black trees. I've already planted some other apple trees over there. So I've got a spot over there, nice and sunny, down along the ridge line there. There's a little stream on the other end. That is where they're going. So I've loaded up some compost here, 2 buckets compost, 1 for each hole, some water, 1 for each hole. It's pretty sandy down there. And I've cut the holes dug, I think I just said. So let's load these guys up, take them down, and plant some apple trees. Now these are going to be heavy for me. I'm pretty weak. Let's see if we can't get them in. Sorry, I have to wait, Kristen. Oh, they're not that bad, actually. Ugh. We may have to back up so we don't knock them over. And she got some other ones too, clematises. We're going to make a spot for them to trellis up. And all right, that wasn't too bad. So we'll go on down to our new spot and we'll show you planting them in. So here's the spot we're going to plant them. Along here, I got 2 holes here we dug this about 20 minutes ago. I think they're fairly big. We'll have to put the pot in there and see if it's going to be big enough. Might have to dig a bit more. But this whole area along here, I'll show you, along here is still good to plant some trees here. Ideally, I want to bushwhack all this stuff down. There's a whole bunch of nice blackberry bushes, raspberry bushes in there. But I put a mulberry tree in here that I transplanted a while ago. It was looking pretty sad a few weeks ago, but it's come back really well. So I want to fruit tree this whole area up here, just so there's more food on the property. And yeah. Oh, here's some of the fruit bushes or raspberry canes, black raspberries. I think they are loaded this year everywhere. So let's get this trees off. We'll check it out and see if the hole's big enough yet. And another thing is, they come wrapped in burlap. So I never have trees with burlap before like this. It's basically a whole root ball in. So I think I have to take the burlap off and stick the root ball in the hole. We'll figure that out once we get to that point. Yeah. Okay, definitely looking at the pot here. I have to dig just a little bit bigger so I can get the root ball in there. And probably have to go a little, I'll probably have to go a little deeper as well. So it's nicer because it's super sandy, which is good. It's always hard to tell how big of a hole you need, but usually if the root's loose, you want to make sure that the hole is big enough so that the roots extend through the whole hole. So it'd be nicer if I had backhoe, but I don't. So it's all hand digging for me here. And I'm also accounting for the little bit of compost I'll put in the bottom. So I'm going down another few inches just to make sure there's room for it. Oh, look how nice sandy this is. Everywhere else in this area, if you dug this deep, you hit rocks by now. So we're super lucky here. All right, I think that should do. Just dump my compost in like that. Nice well rotted manure from the cows and horses and chickens and all the bedding. All right, that's that. So as you can see, that's gonna fit perfectly in there. But I think I'm gonna take the burlap off because I don't know if you can tell down here, the roots look like they're pretty root bound in there. I think it's mostly because it's been in a pot, but we'll see what happens here. So let's gotta figure this out here. And ideally with the being out of the root ball, or ideally with the burlap here, the root should be nice and free and be able to grow nicely. You got it tied up pretty good here. Nice knot. Plus you got scissors down, but that's okay. It's coming loose now. There we go. Look at that. Most of the burlap's already broken off, so I don't think it's going to matter much. But yeah, most of the burlap is actually rotted away here. So I'm not even going to bother. I'm just going to loosen up along the bottom here. No. So I'm just pulling it away here what I can, just to help it out a bit. It's still tied around the tree here. There we go. Come along. We just don't want to choke it out. And then the tree growing into the burlap. I'm going to set the camera down and just do this with two hands here. And the other thing I don't like about these nurseries is they fertilize these trees so much, which is understandable because their poor little things are in the pot for so long. There. That's it. All right. So the other thing too is you see that this is the graft here. It's hard to tell here in the shade here. It's poor light. Sorry guys. I hope that's a little better here. You can tell this is the graft here. You want that above the soil line. If you bury your graft, what's going to happen? This tree is going to just grow the roots out and then defeats the whole purpose of the graft, because the graft makes it the semi-dwarf. It has to be a disease resistance and all that jazz. But look what I found here. I think these are caterpillars, rags of some sort. So we're going to crush those up here. Hopefully there's nothing to worry about here. Just get rid of those. I think they're dry. All right, next step is I'm going to water it in a little bit. So I'm going to give it just a little bit of water here on top, just to soak through. And then we're going to cover the rest up with dirt and water on top. And the tree's on a bit of an angle here, so we're going to see if we can't level it up a bit here so that it's sitting straight. Get some dirt underneath it there. There we go, so that way it won't be leaning. So you need a shovel, but I'll just use my hand here just to backfill it quickly here. should have brought a rake down as well, would have been just as easy. Okay, finish off with the shovel. So what I'm going to do now is actually come down here with my hands and I make a bit of a circle around it, pack it down a bit. What I want to do is make a little bit of a well with the dirt here so that when I water it, the water goes down and not out into the whole area here. So the water's going to the root. And so the ground's a little higher on this side than it is this side here. So what we're going to do is make the dam on this side just a little bit higher here, the ridge line. And I'm not going to pack it in too much because once I pour the water in, the water will settle all the sand and dirt down. So there we go, folks. Just like that. And just for fun, I sprinkle the rest of my compost around the edge of it as well. Just because I have it here. Add a little bit more nutrients to the edges. But here we go. Just gonna pour the water in like that. It'll soak down nicely. So see how it's nice and ridged up there, so the water gets in there and it doesn't spill over. That's what we want. We'll let it soak in, and I should probably water this for next 3 or 4 days. The root ball was pretty wet already because it had just been watered, so I'm not too worried about it drying out, but it's going well. So there we go. So you can see right there, it needs a little bit more dirt in there because it's just flowing down. So I just pack a bit more dirt in there and we'll ridge it up a bit more. And there we go. We'll add a bit more water in a minute here. So I'll go get the next one in here quickly and I'll show you it once it's done. All right, they're both in now. Here's the second one here. Looking beautiful. So if all goes well, they should fruit next year, I would think. They probably should have fruited this year, but here it is, I'll water it in. And looking healthy. So like I said, I'll probably water them again tomorrow and then next day for probably 3 or 4 days in a row. But I just re-watered the second one here. And it's looking good. Now the other thing too, that I'm going to do, once we get more wood chips from the arborist, I'm going to wood chip this whole area in here, which does 2 or 3 things. It's going to prevent all the grass and weeds from coming back. It's going to add a nice mulch layer so that when it breaks down, it adds nutrients to my trees. And the third thing is it's going to keep moisture in the ground so I don't have to water them all the time. Because right now this year, it's almost like we're in our drought. It's rain. It rained yesterday for maybe half hour, but not too much. But we've had probably 4 inches of rain in the past 2 months, which is pretty rough. So I'm glad I have an irrigation system in a pond over here I can get access water to. But man, I couldn't imagine starting these trees and having to use all the well water. The well has run dry twice now, just due to a toilet flapper being held up and draining the toilet. So we had to plumb the lines, prime them up, which is not too bad. I know how to do it really well now. But with that pond water to irrigate everything, world of a difference. But anyways, guys, my 2 new fruit trees, my addiction continues. Hope you enjoyed that little video. Please tell me what you're planting this year, your plant addictions. If you got some things you need to talk about, leave them in the comments. That's it. Let's have a great day here. We'll see you out there. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up. We'll see you out there. Happy gardening.